Hey guys, welcome to Better Body Radio. In today's episode, we welcome Kitty Blomfield to Better Body Radio. Kitty is quite the character, so it's easy to see with her authentic and energetic persona why she has such a loyal following on social media. She coaches women how to break free from restrictive diets, restore their metabolism, and build bodies they love with carbs, real food, and strength training. She's the founder of the WinAtLife coaching program and WinAtLife podcast, as well as being the co-founder of NuStrength and Saturée. So she has a lot going on in terms of the value and service that she offers, but we'll let her elaborate on everything she's got going on during the podcast. We connected through a mutual friend, or connection, should I say, Tom Littlewood, and since following her on Instagram, I've been excited to get her on the show. So grab a coffee, kick back, or if you maybe enjoy listening to this as part of your daily commute, this episode is going to be a cracker. Hey, thanks for coming on.
Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, it's funny. Instagram is a weird and wonderful place. Funny how people can end up being connected in different parts of the world and everything else. But I'll give a shout out to Keith, to Tom Littlewood, is our kind of common thread.
Yeah, we both love Tomo. He's amazing.
Yeah, but I didn't realize that we were also talking off air, and I had no idea that you were actually based in Dubai before.
I know, crazy. And we even lived in the same building as well. Same building as where you guys live.
What yard were you in?
What's the name of your building again? Yeah, I can't remember because we lived there. It was like the very first apartment we lived in. I just can't remember what it was called.
So you've got Marjan, Sadaf, Rimmel, Shams. There's another one as well, but those are the main ones.
I think it might have been Sadaf, I think.
Yeah, that's the one beside us. So it's not the last set of ones away from Jay.
Yeah.
The second last.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just massive. That like whole area. It would be even like so much more developed now than when I was there.
Yeah, there's just more. The marina's just way more developed now. There's just so much more going on around those JBR apartments. But there you go. We start the podcast. Everyone's learning a bit about the geographics of Dubai. So let's just dive in and start with. Now that we're talking about Dubai, I'm sure this will kind of piece into your kind of backstory and everything else. For those that may not be familiar with you, your work, or your background, tell us a bit more about how you got into the industry, as well as some of the highlights throughout that point to the present day.
So I'm not like, I've just got a level, what is it? The ASCA level 1 certification. Like I'm not a PT. The only reason I got that was because when we opened the gym, I had to get something to get insurance. So basically I spent 17 years of my life dieting, you know, like so many other women out there. I did shake diets. I sold isogenics for 12 months. I did every protocol of fasting. I did keto. I was the sugar anti Nazi. You know, I wouldn't touch sugar. I wouldn't eat dairy. I made my own almond milk. I competed 3 times. And look, I have nothing against competing, but I did it for the wrong reasons. You know, I looked at those women and thought, oh, they look so amazing. And it was just a reason for me to restrict and diet. Oh God, I even got to the point where I'd stick my fingers down my throat and throw up and take laxatives. And I had pretty bad body image issues. I lost my virginity at a young age. And then, as I was telling you, and I'm pretty open, I was really promiscuous, you know, like I just thought that for men to love me, I needed to have sex with them. And I'd play games, like we'd go out with our friends and we'd have these competitions to see who could take home a guy the fastest. And I always pretended, you know, that I was the fun girl and the happy girl, but really I was just lonely. You know, I really desperately wanted to find someone to love me, but I guess I didn't realize that, you know, sleeping with a guy on the very first night you meet him isn't the way to Kitty to, you know, meet the man of your dreams. And then I ended up getting married. And I really just married the first guy I think that loved me, and he was a bit older. And, you know, he gave me that stability and the house, and we were going to try and have a baby, and thank goodness that we didn't. But, you know, I was with him for nearly 10 years. I cheated on him. I was too scared to leave him. We lived in Dubai for a few years. And then eventually I got the guts up to actually leave because I just thought, you can't keep cheating on him, Kitty. Like, it's the wrong thing to do. You just have to leave and be on your own. And I was working in mining at the time. So I was doing FIFO on a coal mine, working in the actual mine control. And it was about 6 months after I'd gotten divorced, and I was just a loose cannon. You know, I was drinking, taking heaps of drugs, starving myself. And my boss at the time sat me down and said, if you don't get your shit together, I'm going to fire you. He's like, you're young, you're attractive, you've got your life ahead of you, you've just got divorced, you haven't got cancer, you're not dying. He's like, just get it together. And I'm actually really like appreciative of him now, because at the time I thought he was a CUNT because he was this South African guy. But looking back, he was the only one that actually sat me down and was like, come on, get it together, woman, you know? And so I went back. I remember going back to my room and just crying and crying and crying and thinking, he's right. Like, you know, are you going to keep wasting your life and doing all this stupid shit, or are you going to get it together and, you know, like live your best life? So me being me, I went out and bought every single book I could find on relationships and men. And I started seeing this kinesiologist at the time, and we would always talk about nutrition because I was always like doing the next fad diet, looking for that diet that was going to help me just keep the weight off and, you know, be healthy. And she said to me, Kitty, women who have thyroid issues shouldn't eat green vegetables. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, shouldn't everyone eat tons and tons of green vegetables? Because I just used to eat them at every meal pretty much. Spinach for bloody breakfast, green beans for morning tea, broccoli for lunch, salmon and cabbage for dinner. And she said, go and read the work of this guy, Dr. Ray Peat and Emma Skorakis, who's now my business partner in a company that we own called Saturée. And so I went away and read about her work. And then at the same time, I met Craig. And I actually, and this is a funny story, because I bought all these relationship books like about men, because I was like, well, clearly you don't know about men, Kitty. Like, you just keep picking up all these random guys and, you know, you're so lonely. And so I read this book. It's called The Catch. And like reading it, you just think, no shit, Sherlock, it's just common sense. But I did everything the book said, and I got off Tinder, and I stopped, you know, like taking so much drugs and drinking every night, drowning my sorrows. And I met Craig, but I actually went home with him the first night I met him. And I remember waking up the next day thinking, you idiot, you fucked it. You know, like I really liked him. And, you know, you slept with him the first night and he's never going to call you, but he called me, and, you know, we are obviously still together now. And then I started working with Emma, this nutritionist. And, you know, she was telling me to drink chocolate milk and drink orange juice and eat sugar and stop flogging myself with cardio. And I was thinking, what? You know, like this is like the opposite of what the fitness industry like I've done for my entire life. But it made so much sense because I knew instinctively what I was doing was wrong. I would restrict, then binge, restrict, then binge. And Craig taught me how to lift. So Craig is a Recomp certified. I don't know if you know the certification Recomp. He's a sports nutritionist. And he's very much into like body recomposition and tracking, measuring, training and nutrition. So he taught me how to deadlift and squat and bench. And I just fell in love with it. And I started doing powerlifting, and I, you know, ate all the food with Emma and stopped doing all the cardio and the dieting. And all of a sudden I was like, man, I'm sleeping through the night. I'm not getting these crazy ass cravings anymore. I'm feeling heaps better. My menstrual cycle normalized because I had a miscarriage. I had irregular and painful periods. You know, it was just all over the place, but I never linked the two. I never linked that, you know, all the restrictive dieting and the drinking and everything else that I did. I didn't realize it was causing all of these issues. And then, you know, I loved it so much, and it really did transform my body and my life and my relationship with food, that I decided to leave my job in mining, and Craig and I opened a gym. Like, we knew nothing about a gym. We bought into this shitty gym that was I look back now and think, you idiots, you paid so much money for this shit gym that we had no systems, nothing, you know, it was losing money. And we ended up like having a falling out with our business partner. So we bought her out, and then we renamed the gym NuStrength. And I remember lying there one night when we lived in Upper Macbeth thinking, what the fuck have you done? Like, you've just left this amazing job in mining, paying, you know, $200K a year and working for 5 months. And you're now working in this gym that you know nothing about. I wasn't even a PT. I just learned all that nutrition, and I went and got the qualification so that I could actually help Craig in the gym, because I'd watch him coach people. And I said to him, because I really love systems, and I said, I've noticed what you do with people. You do this same thing. I said, you do like this, like you regress the exercises, and I see you do this, like, because obviously I didn't really understand what he was doing. And I said, there's a system, you've got a system. So we developed this group training model system, this progression system with the strength training. We developed our nutrition approach in the gym, and, you know, eating more sugar and more carbs, and, you know, the body recomposition method. And our gym grew massively. And we did that for 3 years. And then we were like, okay, should we open more gyms or should we go online? And we decided to create a program specifically for women to help women like me break free from restrictive diets. And, you know, instead of destroying the bodies that they have with cardio and restrictive diets, building bodies they love with sugar and strength, really. And yeah, our online business exploded and it grew. And then one night I emailed Emma saying that, because I could never find any good skincare with no nasties, saying, I think I'm going to develop a skincare range. And she said, do you want a business partner? And so Saturée was born, which means saturated in French. And we've launched a whole range of pro-metabolic supplements, and we've got this skincare coming out in January. So yeah, that's the story. And I think I'm just so passionate about it because I really feel like it transformed my life. Like I went from this, like all I would think about was food and my body, and I hated my body and being skinny and flogging myself with cardio, to like so empowered from the lifting. And I know you lift too. Like it's just, I've never met a woman who has lifted and then said, I just hate being strong. And just really just really understanding my body and not being afraid of carbs and eating. Like now I just eat, like I eat 2,500 to 3,000 calories a day, lift heavy things. I feel amazing, and really repairing that relationship with food and healing that really allowed me to, I think, heal so many other parts of my life and relationships. And it really was, I guess, the door that opened this chapter of my life and where I am now and doing what I'm doing. Like I get to get up every day and do what I love. Like it's just this so exciting to build and to grow. It's challenging, obviously, as you would know. And there's times when I've cried, sat at my desk and cried. But most of the time it's just so, I just love it. Like I just love it so much, and helping these women. Sorry, that was a bit long-winded.
That was awesome. I mean, honestly, I could probably sit and there'd be so many, so many things to unpack, so many sub questions I could dive into. But I think probably two things I'll pull out of that would just be, I mean, you've got an incredible backstory. I mean, we probably only you literally just glossed the surface of the stuff there. If you had to really dive into the intricacies of it, I'm sure there's a lot more stuff to kind of unpack there. But the thing I find interesting, and I don't know what your thought process on this is, that I'm sure there's a lot more women out there with that sort of story than we probably are even aware of, and they don't talk about it, or they're kind of still stuck in that cycle that you were in. What's your thoughts? I mean, how many women do you think out there are struggling with this? We're struggling with what you were struggling with?
Like millions, I would say. Millions. Like I get so many messages on Instagram every day saying to me, oh, thank you, because I talk very openly. Like I'm a very open person.
Yeah.
But I think the reason I'm like that is because for me, it takes away the shame around things, because I think for a long time I was ashamed of how I was and what I was, like I'd never had a boyfriend until I got married. I just used to have sex with all these men and starve myself. And I was maybe, I think, ashamed. And I feel opening up about that and talking about it really openly, it takes away the shame. And I think it allows me to help other women, because then other women go, oh, okay, cool, she's talking about it. It's okay. I have done that, but I can be free, and I can love my body again, and I can take control back of my life and food. So I think that so many women struggle with it, and like the diet culture. And I mean, what Instagram's like, and I've been there, just wanting to be that shredded, lean look. Like I think when I was younger, I wanted to be skinny. It was all about being skinny. And then as I got more into the fitness side of things, it was about being lean. And I wanted to be muscular and lean. And I have been really lean. And I remember the last time I competed, like I actually pulled the pin 6 weeks out, because we were still in our gym then. And I just was like in a mess. I was like so lean. I wasn't sleeping. I had no period. I was crying all the time. I said to Craig, I just don't care. I just don't care about this enough. Like it's too hard. And again, like I'm not anything against competing, so I think I did it for the wrong reasons. I think if I've got some really good friends who are like competitive, figure competitors that just do it as a job, and they do a really, big long off seasons. They do it as a sport. They love it. But yeah, I just did it for the wrong reasons, I think. But I think that there's so many women really struggling.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. I think the fitness industry is not exactly the poster child most often of good health, because I mean, we're even
I think
not even as just like competitors, but just a lot of our, like I'm probably working with more female clients now than I am guys. And for some reason, it's becoming more common now for women to have menstrual dysregulation issues.
Totally.
With their physical health than actually being, hey, do you have a regular cycle? If someone says to me they have a regular cycle, I'm almost a bit kind of like, oh,
what?
Okay. But I'm almost surprised now. And that's kind of where we've got to. Whereas I don't know if you say the same, but probably 20, 30 years back, it was more the opposite way around. It was like if you had menstrual dysregulation, it was like, oh, really? Oh, that's a shame. Most women kind of were in a pretty good spot, but maybe it's been with the reversal of like the popularity of, you know, competing
dieting
and the stress of, you know, having to be the breadwinner in the household, for some women as well. And so, I mean, there's a lot of layers, I'm sure, to it that's well beyond my scope of thought at the moment. But it's just so interesting to see just how things seem to have kind of progressed to where we are now. And social media doesn't help because it wants you to be constantly like you need to be doing everything perfect all the time and keep up appearances. It's kind of like keeping up with the Joneses type thing. If that person's got it, then I need to have that. But you don't know all the other stuff that's going on. And I know for a fact, because I've seen it here, and Dubai is terrible for it. You see all these people who on social media appearances look good, but they're just an absolute mess on the inside. They've got all sorts of relationship issues and issues with their health and their gut, and yeah, you name it, it's all there. But that, unfortunately, that highlight reel of social media doesn't show you that side of things. It's unfortunate.
Well, people show the best, don't they? They want to show the best part of their life. Not many people really openly share the bad bits or when they're struggling. And I think, you know, like all these fitness models, young, lean, it's like they don't talk about that they've got no period, or their periods are regular, or they've got digestive issues, or, you know, they're binge eaters. Like I remember one of our old coaches, Lucy, she's gorgeous. She's just young and has this amazing personality. And she used to compete in WBFF. And I remember when I very first met her, like she was just a mess competing and binge eating. And, you know, I remember one time she rang me from the supermarket, just like crying, and, you know, she just couldn't do it anymore. And she was sitting out, which they came, her and her ex-partner who worked for us for a while in the gym, Ben, they came to our house one day and she was telling me about, she went to do some posing lessons with this really well-known high up, you know, fitness model in WBFF. And she was just telling her, she was asking her, oh, why aren't you eating today? And she's like, oh, I had a massive binge yesterday, so I'm just fasting all day today to make up for it. And I'm like, and women look up to these women, you know? So it's like they don't ever talk about that side of things, and the binging and the food obsession. It's just, yeah, they look amazing, you know, like, yeah, but it's just, it's interesting how like women, I don't know. And I was talking to someone else about this, that the trend, you know, like it was like Marilyn Monroe was very curvaceous, you know, she used to drink the milk and eat the liver, and, you know, like she was curvy. And then like now it's really like women, they want to be lean and hard and shredded. But like Craig and I talk about this all the time. And, you know, I've been lots of different body fats, you know, and now I'm like, I've got a lot of muscle, but I'm not really super lean anymore. And he's like, I just love it when you're a bit fatter. You know, he's like, I just, you know, like you get a bit more fat on your ass. It's real jiggly, and, you know, like he's like, you just look so curvy and womanly. But it's just funny how women, I don't know, like we have this idea that lean is better. Lean looks better.
I think, like you said, I think if you look at it, like being lean, it's something you do, especially as a woman, for such a short period of time. And I think the problem is that that's being positioned as an ideal versus this is a very short-term thing to achieve a certain goal, whether it be, well, look, I was able to do it. I was able to show that level of discipline, commitment, etc. Whether that be presented in photos or on a stage or just for your own satisfaction. But the reality is, like you said, like if you're going to be optimal, you know, functioning at your best, really as a woman, like having that body fat there, like that doesn't make you look any worse. If anything, that's just you're walking around, and of course it's different if you're walking around carrying that body fat and there's no muscle there. That's a whole different ballgame.
Yeah.
You know, if you've got strength, you've got muscle, you feel good, you're kind of progressively lifting from week to week, month to month, cycle to cycle, then I think that's really the good spot. That's where your maintenance should be. But the problem is maintenance is being but you can stay lean all year round. But why would you want to? Why would you want to anyway? So yeah.
You can't perform in the gym either, you know, like you can't hit your numbers. You don't sleep well. It's like you can't eat enough food. It's misery, I reckon.
Yeah, definitely. Here's me speaking like from a woman's perspective, but I guess I can only see.
Oh, but you work with them.
Yeah, and I suppose like seeing Mal, like I think Mal, my wife, I mean, she's such a good role model for so many of her female clients and even for our female audience, because you know she hasn't ever really done the restrictive stuff, and even when she did prep,
so good.
Good coach, she prepped really well. She kept her period the whole way through. Done it.
That's so good.
She got really good. I mean, it's not she hasn't had her battles, but she's had it's an incredible relationship with food, and I think she's very rare compared to what we see in the fitness industry. And I think you know, not being scared to, like she was celebrating the other week, getting to a new high body weight that she's been in years. Like she was literally celebrating, like, yes, I hit the 60 kilos.
Yeah.
You don't really hear women talk about like celebrating getting bigger and gaining weight, but she's loving it, like eating more food and getting stronger and building those,
I know.
those curves, that physique. And those are so important because say she does decide that she might compete next year, might do a photo shoot next year. Her body is going to look so good when she dies down because she's been willing to invest in that time and that process. But it's just trying to, for many other women who have never done that, try to get them to understand just how beneficial that is. It's a big challenge, huge challenge.
Yeah, I see. And again, I don't want people to think that I'm anti-competing because I'm not. I just think you need to do it for the right reasons. And like, you know, you look at the best competitors and they live the lifestyle all the time. Like it's their life. You know, they eat consistently, they train consistently. Like they look like they do because that's of what they do consistently every day. And I get a lot of women come to me and, you know, they're overweight and they're like, I want to compete. And I'm like, yeah, but you're doing it because you just want to look better. Like you just want a quick way to look better. And like, you can just look good all year round. Like just get strong and like eat consistently and you can just look like pretty good all year round, just eating normally, you know, like wouldn't you rather that than starve yourself for like, I don't know how long you're going to do it, 24 weeks and get on stage and then you're just going to rebound massively and put all the weight back on and have all these issues. It's like, yeah, I just think, I guess so like no one wants to do the long game, play the long game. It's hard. Everyone wants a quick fix. We all do, you know, like we all just want to wake up and be there, which is understandable.
It's inherent in the human nature. Want it now.
Yeah.
I think that actually probably segues actually quite nicely now. We're talking about these type of women is touching on your coaching and the work that you've done in the past. So you've obviously, you know, you continue and have done helped women break free from restrictive dieting patterns, as well as kind of sorting out their metabolic health. Can you provide just a little bit of insight into the coaching process that you and your coaches in your business do and how you kind of successfully help so many of those women escape all of that?
Well, Craig and I are really big believers in tracking and data and measuring. And now I don't believe that you should track your food forever. You know, I think that, you know, you don't want to use it as a tool for restriction, but more as a tool for learning and education and optimization, I think. And I just think about what I did and how I learned and how I got to the point that I am now. And it was through tracking and measuring and, you know, learning how to eat consistently and get the right macro balance and get the foods that worked to optimize my sleep and my menstrual cycle and my digestion. Without tracking that, you don't know what to change, you know. And I find that a lot of women, they come in and they have no idea what they're eating. They don't know if, you know, they'll track food for a week and I'm like, whoa, you're eating too much fat. You're not getting enough protein. You know, you're eating one meal in the morning and you don't eat again till the nighttime. So, you know, we really believe in that tracking initially to teach you and then want women to get to the point where, you know, like for me, I mean, I don't know about you, but I really believe too, if you want to lift as a woman, you have to commit to eating more. You have to be disciplined with your food and be consistent because if you lifting's stressful on the body, super stressful, especially when you get to lifting heavier weights like me, you know, if you don't eat enough, you'll suffer. You know, your menstrual cycle will suffer. And like me now, I will plan my week in advance. You know, I'll pick a lunch meal, cook something up, have it in the fridge, or have all my snacks ready to go, have my breakfast, and I'll eat pretty much similar things day to day. And then on the weekend, I might have a bit more variety. So we really teach women the same thing. We'll bring them in, get them to track a few days, and then we work with them to, you know, bring their calories up, get that macronutrients balance right for them, get them eating consistently more food, getting them to balance their blood sugar and eating regular meals and eating breakfast. And, you know, we encourage them to eat things like liver and oysters and fruit and dairy so they're getting the nutrients that they need, and just being consistent, and then strength training and working with them to fix any of those metabolic issues. Because obviously, you know, like we recommend a broad range of food, but people need to work within that to find what their optimal is and what they like, you know, because it's like you got to eat food that you like and food's got to be enjoyable. So, you know, I think it's really is that testing and measuring, and then first looking at improving their metabolism and bringing their calories up. You know, because a lot of them have dieted themselves for a long time. Like, oh, but I want to look lean and I want to build muscle. I'm like, yeah, but you need more calories first. You need to, like, we can't diet you from 1,500 calories. Like, you've got to build that base first. fix all that thing. So they're sleeping well, their period's regular, their digestion's good, their energy's good, then build up their calories and then just get them strong, And it's interesting, the women that have been super consistent and followed that. And I don't know if you guys do this sort of model, but that really true like body recomposition model. Like over the time, we've actually increased their food. Like we've got this lady, Anna Hansel, who like lost 10 kilos and she's pretty jacked. Like she's pretty strong. She loves lifting. She's like 57 kilos, eating consistently 2,400 calories a day. And she's lean, but she's strong. She's really strong. And look, not all the women come in like that. A lot of women with really bad metabolic issues, stress bodies, we actually don't get them to train straight away. We're like, look, just dial back your training, focus on the food, balance those hormones, get your energy back, get yourself sleeping. And then when you're a bit, I guess, stronger, like metabolically stronger, and your body can stand that stress of the strength training, then we bring the strength training in. So, I think it's really like looking at the person and where they're at. And then, it's very rare that someone comes in that's like eating heaps of food. I mean, it's never, and that has no issues, like probably like you. Do you find that?
Yeah, I mean, I would say, like, funny enough, like, I think we're speaking off here as well. I'm working with probably more now, and actually, none of them are actually dieting down at the moment. They're all going the other way. And that's a lot of them at the moment came in. They're like, right, well, like, I'll give you one. One was she was eating anywhere between 1,000 to 1,200 calories a day. She was doing keto and alcohol most weekends, and protein was just nowhere near high enough. And it was she was just like, well, but I want to get lean. I was like, I understand that, but and the thing is, luckily, the call to action I made when I was kind of reaching out for women who wanted to recomp their body was, you need to be willing to diet up first before we diet down. That's actually part of the criteria. You're willing and you understand that this is the deal. And of course, 2 weeks in, bit of resistance, 4 weeks in, bit of resistance, and they're just really struggling to let go of. But it's like, no, but you've been so low for so long. There's been metabolic adaptation, like BMRs came down to adjust to the way you're currently doing things. But the reason you're still carrying body fat is because of all the stress and the overeating at the weekend and the binging and the So just trying to really get them to understand that, listen, dieting down is not for you right now, and it's not going to be for a period of time. We need to spend time just respecting your body, letting your body feel how good it feels to have the energy to actually lift and train and recover and live life and focus. And it's so hard for them to give up. So yeah, I mean, we've definitely found the same thing. And I had one female, just she had a little bit of an injury, but she's back training now. She went from 2 years of working with a PT on a fixed meal plan for a whole year. We'll change it. Like, you cannot deviate from this fixed meal plan. End up with drinking disorder. And then when we started working together, we got her from 2,100 calories on average up to 2,900 by the end of that 12 weeks. And she was
amazing,
leaner, more muscular. And yes, I mean, we won't get as many women who are ready to go like that. I mean, she was also 71 kilos, quite tall. She had the less weight. I mean, she could already close to 100 kilos and things for reps and stuff like that. So she was strong. But for a lot of the other women, even if they're not super strong yet or super muscular, just getting them to understand how important it is to support their activity. Because what we've definitely seen is this addiction for fatigue, this addiction to, but if my heart isn't ready to burst out my chest and I'm not sweating buckets, then it wasn't an effective workout. And getting them to understand that actually you don't have to leave the gym feeling broken all the time. You just need to create a stimulus and recover from it. So I think, like you guys probably do, it's just a lot of hard conversations, a lot of re-education around what actually the long game, like you said, looks like versus playing the short game, and not doing the short game very well either anyway. Just kind of doing a short game and a completely different game. It's like changing the game. It's like going from Monopoly to Scrabble and back to something else every like 2 or 3 weeks, 4 weeks.
Yeah. It's so hard, I think, though, like for them to let go of, because I remember what it was like too when I was doing it initially. It's like, because you're so used to being small and starving yourself and the quick results, and it's like, this isn't quick. It's not quick, and it's changing your lifestyle. You have to be committed to like eating more regularly and not skipping meals, and then, sinking, 10 bottles of wine on the weekend. And, you really, I feel like a lot of women have to face trauma and dig deeper and like, why can't they practice self-care? Why do they keep self-sabotaging? A lot of women, it's they're trying to bury other things. You know, because obviously, like, we both know that it works. If you just eat the diet, if you eat the food and be consistent, you do your own diet, but you be consistent, and then you lift the weights, it works every fucking time. Like, every woman who's consistent, but the hard part is being consistent.
Yeah.
And breaking those behaviors, you know, and like, I really feel like I've evolved too. Like, I remember when we very first started, like, I wasn't consistent like I am now. I did some good changes, and, you know, I obviously improved a lot of stuff, but I'd still drink alcohol on the weekends, not heaps, more than now. And Craig and I'd still go out and eat, like, what's it called? Nando's. Like, we go to Nando's. Like, I just never eat deep fried chips now. They just make me feel gross. Like, the polyunsaturated fats make me feel really sick. So, and I'm not saying you should never, ever eat them, but like, I think over time, I just was like, I just want to, like, I knew what it felt like to feel so good and so optimized. And, you know, it's not like I ever feel like I miss out on food. Like, I eat good quality sourdough pizzas. I make homemade burgers. I mean, I drink Coke, you know, like, I still have a few drinks every now and then. I just don't drink like I used to. And I just feel so much better. You know, I sleep so much better. My energy's better. I'm just lifting more. And it's really important to me to perform in the gym. Like, I just love it. Probably like your wife, you know, it's just so exciting, you know, hitting those, like, trying to, I mean, for me now, I'm pretty advanced. So it's hard for me to make progress, and I really have to, like, rest. Because, you know, like, you go and do, and I really push hard, you know, I'll push to fat. Like, I actually went through a bit of a period where I was probably pushing too hard, you know, just addicted to the, like, even though I'd only do 1 or 2 sets, it was like like absolute failure. Cause I'm like, I just want to beat that PB. Yeah, and I just have to be really conscious now, I think, because, like, we're busy in the businesses, and it's like, Kitty, you're not just an athlete. You can't just eat, train, sleep, go to the beach. Like, you've got other stresses in your life. And that's another thing, actually, I think women don't take into account, which you probably see too. It's like, be realistic. Like, your life is stressful. You've got to address those other things in your life as well. You know, like, you can't just do the training and do the nutrition. Maybe it's a relationship, it's work stress, it's something with the kids. Like, all of those things impact on your ability to get the results that you want, you know?
Recover between sessions. I always say, like, if you're going to pour out the bucket, you need to have enough resources to pour back into the bucket.
Yes. I say that all the time too. Yeah, the resource bucket. Yeah, because we're too much pulling out. We pull. And then we wonder why things break down. You know,
you wouldn't. You wouldn't want to travel from, like, I always give the example, if you're in the US, you wouldn't want to travel from state to state on a quarter tank of gas. You would fill up the tank, and you'd make sure you've got enough resources to get.
We sound like we say the same things. I'm like, imagine if you drove your car to the other side of Australia and you only had half a tank of fuel. What's going to happen? You know, I say the same thing. Yeah.
So it's funny how, like, good coaches seem to come up with a lot of similar analogies, though. It's funny. And I think a key point to what you said there as well was just it was in the front of my mind there. Yeah, just 2 key things is just I hope this doesn't slip my mind now, is, do you know what? I'll come back to it. I had literally 2 things I was going to add to that to summarize what you said really well, but I'll probably add it maybe to the post-show thing if I can remember it. But yeah, some really good points there. So I think getting into some of the stuff you do on social media and the information that you share and the products that you do. So you share amazing information around women's health, lots of it, and you're very free-flowing with that on social media. Everything from supporting the menstrual cycle, digestion, lifting advice, you name it, it's all there, right? So which of these areas or other areas, maybe that you're just maybe not talking about right this second, do you feel women are struggling with the most? And what can coaches and practitioners do better in order to help their clients or patients more effectively?
Oh, fuck, what are they struggling with the most? Everything, I think. Like, there's just, I don't know, maybe I'm just trying to think how to answer this. And I feel like I've come a bit of a full circle to, and maybe this is part of Craig and I, our own learning, is that I feel like everyone overcomplicates it. Like, you know, there's all these million diets and you can't eat this and you should eat this, or you can't eat that. And, you know, you got to take these million supplements. And, you know, I think one of the things I love about my business partner, Emma, and also Keith, actually, is that they're like, fix the system, you know, like, fix the metabolism, eat well, eat enough food, and really the rest of it should take care, and, you know, lift and do some activity, and the rest should take care of itself. But I think people get so much into the nitty gritty about what supplements to take, you know, nutrient, all this other shit. And it's like, just eat the food and eat enough food and get rest and get sun and do some training and like be happy and fuck your partner and, you know, like do some fun stuff. You know, I don't know. That probably doesn't really answer your question. I think that women, like, it's just too overcomplicated. Like, we've just overcomplicated everything, nutrition and health, and there's a million diets out there. And I feel like women are just so confused. And like, you know, I am having my breast implants out on Monday, and I've really been working hard the last 3 months to like optimize my metabolism. I've just been really diligent with my food. I've taken no supplements the last 2 weeks because you can't take anything before the operation. They're like, don't take any. And I feel great. Like, my temps and pulses are good. My sleep's amazing. I'm recovering from training, and I'm just being really diligent with my food and eating enough and resting. You know, like, I think that women are struggling because they're so confused with so much information. And it's like, just eat like our grandparents used to eat. Like you said, like, I was talking to my mum about, because Craig and I are thinking about maybe next year we might try for a baby. And I was talking to my mum, and she's like, oh, my cycle was every 28 days. Like, I had no issues, Kitty, you know, just got pregnant 3 times, you know, and there's so much infertility these days with women. And I'm like, well, what did my mum do? She didn't fucking diet. She just ate food. Like, she was never overweight. And I think, you know, maybe as practitioners, we can try and like keep it more simple for our clients. But potentially, I don't know, like, I know I've been sucked into this way before, like, because we've made so many changes to our program, and like, we sort of follow the Repeat inspired nutrition approach, and there's lots of different practitioners around. And sometimes I get sucked back into like, the real nitty gritty things, and, you know, like all these different tests that you can run. And Keith's like, you don't need that stuff. Like, yes, maybe if what we're doing is not working, but he's like, just look at the symptoms and address the symptoms and eat more food and eat nutrient dense food. And, you know, I think it's just trying not to overwhelm clients and bring it back to the basics, you know, and taking away so much of the obsession about food and what I should be or shouldn't be eating. And, you know, I think when your metabolism's robust, you know, like I said, I can go and eat some shit food and it's fine. Not that I do it all the time because I just feel gross, but like, I don't, you know, I'm not like so obsessed about it anymore, about eating perfectly, I think. I don't know if that answered your question.
No, it answers it really well. It's probably 3 little points coming off the back of that. I actually remember this time. I remember Kasim Hansen. Are you familiar with Kasim Hansen? If you came across him, the guy who created M1 education.
Nah.
Big biomechanics guy, but he also, I mean, just ridiculous. One of these ridiculously intelligent people, and understands a lot about metabolism, nutrition stuff as well. Yeah. He kind of mentioned, and I like the way he phrases it, is no one ever found it harder to diet if they were healthier. And so it's this idea that if you get your health in check first, then most of that stuff becomes much easier to do. Whereas I always like to use the analogy of, you can drive a car with the handbrake on, but it's going to wear down pretty damn quick. Whereas if you just let the handbrake off, it's going to glide a lot smoother. So it's kind of like giving yourself permission to take the handbrake off, but get everything in check first. I think, like you said as well, like, I like to use the term majoring in the minors. A lot of people like to major in the minors because it's a good way of fascinating and distracting themselves from just doing the work. So rather than majoring in the minors, do the work.
I know.
And it's so simple in nature, but that's kind of the answer. It's just not sexy, and it just isn't what people want to hear, that they actually have to just put one foot in front of the other and do the work.
Yeah. And be consistent over time.
Overcomplicating things is one end, but I actually think people also oversimplify things, and that's not helpful either, because of course we know calories in, calories out, and as much as yes, energy balance of course is a thing, and of course it's the law of thermodynamics. The problem is when people are constantly bombarded with, well, it's just energy in, energy out. It's like, okay, that's cool, but actually energy in, energy out is quite a complex process when you break down all the different parts of it on both sides. And so I think if we just ignore the fact that people have digestive stuff to deal with, they have, you know, hormonal stuff to deal with, metabolic stuff to deal with, then women of course have the menstrual cycle going on and amongst all that as well. I think it's, where do we find a happy middle ground? And I think a lot of it's going to come down to, right, well, people can't be so lazy just to the point where it's like, oh, that's overcomplicating things, but you also can't oversimplify things either. You've got to educate yourself or source enough information, and actually do enough of, we like to use the term of, clients need to become intellectually involved in the process, not just turn up and be told what to do. And so you need to, it's that kind of, like, listen, we'll help you, we'll meet you halfway, we'll provide you information, we'll hold you accountable. You've also got to kind of be, you've got to be involved on your side at the same time. You can't just be spoon-fed. So I think that's all the stuff I would take from what you just said, that would be how I would summarize that. I think it's bang on. It's exactly what I was trying to get at with the questions. So it's good.
Yeah, it's and it's interesting. Like we've seen, like, because we get sort of so many different women coming to our program. We've had women come in with like bad autoimmune conditions like arthritic, rheumatoid arthritis, who they've just come in and done the basics, like eaten more food, eaten the carrot salad, liver and oysters religiously. They've taken a few of the key supplements, but they've been really consistent and they're now in remission. Their doctors have taken them off medication. And look, I'm not saying there aren't special people. Like if we get like complex cases, we'll just refer them on to like Tomo or Emma, because it's outside of our scope of practice. But, it really does come down to, eating consistently and fueling your body and lowering stress, get sun. You're right. It's not sexy. It's not sexy to go, I've got to be dedicated to eating every 3 hours and I've got to get enough carbs and I've got to eat liver every week and I've got to eat oysters every week and eat the carrot salad every day. Like I've eaten that fucking carrot salad every day for like 6 years, I reckon. And I've got to be okay with maybe not being shredded and lean because, and you know what, like one thing I like about this dietary approach, this repeat approach, is that it's not that this is the diet. It's like, here's the way you measure if it's working for you. So resting temperature and pulse, is your menstrual cycle, reasonably regular and pain-free? Do you have a sex drive? Are you shitting every day? Are you not bloated? Do you have pretty stable energy and moods? And if what you're doing results in all those things, it's working, but I've just never met anyone that's doing keto or vegan or like eating low calories that all those measures of metabolic measures, I guess you'd call them, are good. So that's why I really like this. And, women in our program do really big variations of what, like no one eats the same as me, not exactly the same. Like everyone eats the liver and the oysters and does like carrot salad, mushrooms, but then, you might do better on less starches, or you might do better on certain fruits, or like you might need more carbs or whatever. I don't know, but understanding your body and those, I guess, it's feedback in a way, right? Like about what you're doing.
We refer to it as biofeedback. We have a weekly tracker that we use with our clients, and we have a cycle, which is biofeedback, and it's like hunger, cravings, libido, digestion, muscle. You maybe choose 7 things. Like these are the signs and signals that your body's constantly giving to you. First of all, how in tune are you with those? And what are they telling you once you are actually paying attention to those? And like you said, that tells you so much about how much progress you're actually making above and beyond the scale, the photos, and all that stuff as well.
Totally. And I really feel like as a woman, like the best piece of advice I ever got from who's my friend and business partner now, Emma, she says, listen to your body, Kitty. Listen to your body. Listen to your body. I'm like, now I just know, like, I just don't train when I'm tired. Because I'm like, what's the fucking point? Like, I'm not going to get, like, no, you're not going to get PBs every time. But I think if I'm tired, what's the point of flogging a dead horse? I just rest now. And then I have another day off and I'll go in and I'll like, kick ass in the gym the next time I'm there, and I just think rest. If you're hungry, you need more food. Like some days I'm starving and if I had I always feel like I'm really hungry the day after a big leg session or a heavy deadlift session or, and I'll eat extra calories. But just once you really get in tune with your own body, it just becomes so much easier. And when you understand that carbs aren't the enemy and sugar isn't the enemy and dairy isn't the enemy. And, and I also think that once your metabolism is good, like your body, like you'll make enough hydrochloric acid. So you're not going to get bloated anymore. You're going to make all your digestive enzymes, peristalsis is going to happen, like the movement of the intestines. Like you're so fucked because you're just not eating enough. Your body is shutting down. Like it's shutting down all these processes. Your menstrual cycle isn't necessary to live. Like you don't need to reproduce to live. So it's one of the first things that shows signs of stress and, those irregularities. So it's going, well, and it really is. It's just like, I know it's going to sound oversimplified, but like just for females, eating more and doing it more consistently. Like, because we skip breakfast, we skip meals, we cut carbs, we cut sugar, and that's just what wrecks us, I think.
No, I mean, we're seeing all the exact same stuff, so I don't think there's anything to add to that. We couldn't agree more. And I think, like you say, there's almost been a bit of a normalization of like loss of the menstrual cycle or whatever it is. And it's just, I think like women almost get to the point, oh, well, my doctor told me that, oh, well, this is kind of how it is now, or this is normal given what I'm going through. And it's kind of like, well, no, like you should have a menstrual cycle, and you need to understand how important it is for you to have that, and not only to have one, but okay, say you get your menstrual cycle back, what happens when you do get it back, but you get like debilitating cramps and crazy
that's so
head
normal.
bleed, and that's still not, you see, I mean, you're kind of opened the door, but you're still not, like, you're not stepped inside yet. So
yeah, and you're like, are you ovulating? You know, like so many women just, and you know, I really believe that because I love lifting. Like I'm an athlete at heart, and I never want to not be an athlete. And I think some people in our community are a bit anti-lifting and a bit, you know, like it's too stressful on the body. But I think I don't want to live my life in a fucking bubble wrap either. Like I enjoy running a business. I enjoy the heavy lifting. It empowers me. But I believe that you can be a healthy athlete, female athlete. You can. You've just got to you can't maintain low levels of body fat. You've got to have body fat on you. Like, you know, and how much, there's no set amount. I don't think I think monitor those subjective and objective measures of metabolism. And, you know, we've got some in our program that sit a bit leaner and they're still good. Whereas others like me, like I feel like, you know, if I go below like 22% body fat, like I'd probably be about 25, 26 now, I don't know, roughly. If I go below that, it's like not good for me. You know, I start to suffer. But you know, if you just hold a bit more body fat and you eat plenty of food and you give yourself recovery time, you know, eat lots of salt, like you're sweet. You can be an athlete and train and be strong and have a really great metabolism. Like I've been really closely tracking my cycle, my temps, and, you know, looking at my ovulation these last few months leading up to the operation. Everything's been awesome. Like my temps are great, recovering from training, you know, but I've just been really diligent with my food. So I think, you know, you can have both, I think.
Yeah, for sure. I think almost like it's, I've seen that as well. People think that you can only have one or the other, but I think, like you said, it's just about, this is where I think that people often preach the idea of individualized coaching, but I think there's very few coaches that actually deliver that, where it's truly individualized. Because like you said, like I've seen some females that they can hold like an incredibly lean physique and they're fine. And it's like, well, you know what? Kudos to you. The genetic gods played the cards incredibly well.
Yeah.
But when it comes to some other women, they just can't hold that level of condition. And that's okay. But some of them find it incredibly hard to let go of the idea that they're not going to walk around that lean all the time, but just shit, well, listen, this is the cards you've been dealt with, but you can still feel, look, and be amazing. Just by understanding what the set point is versus someone else's.
Yeah. And I think also too, people don't look at like, what are the other stresses you have in your life? Is your life set up? Like I look at like this lady, Anna, that I'm talking about, she is quite low body fat, but she is religious with her food. Like takes her food everywhere, eats every 3 hours. Her life, she's not got heaps of stress in her life now, you know, like she's really set herself up to be able to achieve that. Whereas I think if you've got stress in your life, I'm like, you just can't do it. Like, it's just, I don't know. And there's genetics too. Like some people are just genetically blessed, you know, like I think, you know, I always, like women will come in and say, we want to look like Kitty. I'm like, no, you want to look like you. Like, just be the best version of you. Like I gave up trying to look like anyone else a long time ago. And I'm like, I'm just going to be the best version of me at any age, you know, like I'm nearly 40. I've got these, you know, I get a lot of comments like, oh, you look like a man. Cause I got these big traps. Like I deadlift, like really back dominant deadlift, always have. So I've got this big back, but I'm like, I don't care. That's just me. That's my physique. You know, like I love the body that I have, the strong body. You may not like it, you know, but it's just to think about, be the best version of you, you know, like don't try and look like someone else.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think that one of the key points you touched on probably a few times there is just the stress component is so downplayed all the time. And I think if I would like say, if there's one piece of advice I give people when it comes to training, I actually think Mal's really good at this, my wife, is that, you know, as guys, we can almost get away a little bit. Like we can go into the gym, we're a bit tired, we can kind of push through and we don't quite have the same level of repercussions. But for females, you can't really dance, you know, you can't play the dance with that. You kind of got to just respect, well, you know what? Fine, I can go in, I can do the session, I can feel like I got my ass kicked, but then the thing you got to look at is how effective a stimulus was it versus the body that's ready to go, and how well am I going to recover from the stimulus I've just imposed on the body. So not only am I now getting a less effective stimulus, it's now an increased demand of recoverability to actually recover from a less effective stimulus as well. So I think that's a key lesson for the ladies listening to this to take away, is just respect the signals your body's given, and like you said, do what Kitty does. Be like Kitty. If you don't feel good that day, skip a day and train the next day.
Yeah, but you just like I think over time I've just proved to myself now, I'm like, oh, I feel so much better. And then I get in the gym, I hit my numbers, I'm like, yes. And then you're like, okay, okay, this works, what I'm doing, like keep doing this. You know, before I'd get up after 3 or 4 hours sleep and go and like smash myself and just, I think, oh God, like how, also too though, as you get older, it gets harder, you know, like in your 20s, you can just do all this stupid shit and bounce back. Like I used to take drugs, drink, party, work all day and not sleep and do that repeated days in a row. Now, God, one bad night's sleep and I'm like, oh, the world's ending, you know, like it's the worst.
And that's like when you're almost like you are 40 or you're approaching 40.
40 in January. I turned 40 coming up.
It's I think as you get into every decade, it probably just doesn't get that much easier, does it? So you probably got to pay even more close attention to all of the recovery stuff, the stress, and everything else.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm going to hit you with a two-part question.
Yeah.
So, and this is funny because people hopefully by this point have understood that you're a bit of an open book. You discuss everything from relationships you even had on your social media the other day, talking about blowjobs and everything in between. So have you always been this candid with your audience, or was this something that kind of changed with time as you evolved as a human? And then secondly, do you feel this has kind of allowed you to connect a bit more authentically with the audience that you do have?
Yeah, I think it's definitely like I've always been an open person, but over time, like because we've had to get more on social media, I have become more and more open. And like, again, going back to the thing about it just takes the shame away for me. And I feel like a lot of women have experienced what I've experienced, but they're too afraid to talk about it and they're too afraid to be vulnerable and share. And I really feel like it does allow you to connect more and it attracts your tribe. And, you know, but I still like when I posted that blowjob post, like, I guess what I was trying to say, and sometimes like, I'm not the most articulate person. I'm a bit of an Aussie bogan, you know, like I swear I'm not like, and I'm okay with that, you know? So sometimes I think when I'm writing, I may not be conveying what and it's also hard to fit what you're trying to say in 2,200 characters, you know, on Instagram, you got this one like space. And sometimes I do cop a lot of like flack or negative feedback on my posts. And I sometimes have to go back and I did a video about it. But I think also what I realized is that I'm not going to be everyone's cup of tea. You know, like there'll be people that look at me and think, oh, she's such a bogan and she's so unpolished. And, you know, she talks about, oh, that's embarrassing. I don't want to talk about that. But I think, but for every 10 people that are like that, there's probably going to be 100 people that actually love me and, you know, connect with me. And it's funny, this chick sent me this message on Instagram. You know, you're like, oh, she didn't mean to send it to me. She must have meant to send it to her friend. And she wrote, she can't even wear her cap properly, lol. That's what she wrote to me.
Really?
So she's obviously meaning to write that to a friend. And when I walk in the morning, I wear my cap to the side because the sun shines down my face to the side. So I just wear it slightly to the side to show my face. And I wrote back to her, was that meant for me? The reason I wear my cap like that is like this. And then I just called her out on what she said. And it actually made me feel a bit shit because I thought, oh, well, what else are they saying about me? You know, like what else are they? And then I was like, Kitty, you can't worry about that. You know, there's always going to people who are going to talk about you. There are always people who pay you out. But, you know, do they have the courage that you have to get up every day and do this and put themselves out there? No. So they can go fuck themselves. You know, like that's how I think now.
Nicely put.
Because I'm like, until, you know, I really like Brene Brown and she's got this really good quote. I don't know, something about if you're not in the arena with me, like I'm not going to respect what you say, you know? So, but the thing is like, look at anyone who like, you know, tries to drag you down. They're never ahead of you.
True.
They're never ahead of you. They're behind you. So, you know, I think when you're on social media, as you get bigger, like you cop more, like we get a lot of flack about our ads about sugar and you look like a man and blah, blah, blah. And, but it's part and parcel of growing a business. And but I do get triggered. Like I'd be, again, I'm being open and honest. I get triggered. I feel hurt sometimes. You know, I get like, feel a bit like, oh, you know, wonder what else they're saying, or should I say this or should I say that? And I'm like, nah, fuck it, Kitty. I always like have said to myself, show up. Like it's one of my values is being authentic and real. Like I really value that. And, you know, like recently I've been, you know, the reason that my hair is blonde and short is because I've got like a few gray hairs coming through now and I didn't want to keep getting it dyed. I just wanted to let the natural color grow out. So it's like salt and pepper. And I thought I'll diet blonde to try and, you know, like blend it in. But then I just got my hairdresser to diet too blonde and it just was all breaking off. So I was like, fuck. I went and saw my friend's gay hairdresser who's amazing. And he's like, oh, it's got to go. He's like, you got to get rid of it. It's all broken. So I cut that, getting the implants out. You know, I haven't had any Botox in this December. It'll be 2 years of no Botox, no fillers, because I got Botox and fillers for about 18 months. And I just realized that like I've just grown a lot, and I realized that, you know, it's not in line with what you're promoting. You know, you're promoting health and well-being and body acceptance, but here you are pumping your face full of Botox, Kitty. Like it's not the right thing to do anymore. So I'm really doing all those things. And just, I think every day, like to me, it's really like, am I leading by example? Am I practicing leadership by example? Like that's what I ask myself every single day. And I'm certainly obviously not fucking perfect. Like, you know, I still make mistakes and I still struggle with body image sometimes. You know, I still look at these lean fitness models and think, oh, I just should be leaner and they look so great. And I'm like, no, Kitty, no, like, come on, like you're good. Like you need to be a good example, you know? And I just try and show up every day and be authentic and be myself, you know, regardless of what people say about me or don't say. I'm sure probably people aren't saying that much. It's like, Kitty, you're not that fucking important. People aren't sitting there talking about you. You know, like, fuck, get over yourself, woman.
I think like you say, though, it's important. You've just got to live your own truth, right? You've got to do what feels authentic to your beliefs, your values, and everything else. And I think, like you say, there's probably a lot of people out there that, for me, like, you know, they don't want to necessarily see perfection. And I think this is, I don't know if you agree with this or not, but because people are almost really happy to see you succeed until you succeed too much.
Yeah.
And then you start to just do a bit better than they're maybe comfortable with. That's where you start to get all the flack and all the negativity. So I think part of being authentic is, like you say, just making mistakes sometimes as well, like with all the success. And I also think as well, like at least anyone I've spoken to, and by the sounds of it, I mean, you've built a bunch of successful endeavors. There's going to have been a bunch of failures and mistakes along the way, because no one becomes successful without shooting himself.
Oh my God.
Making mistakes. So.
Yeah. So many. We've had like 2 failed business partnerships. You know, we lost lots of money. We've made so many mistakes. Like, oh my God. Yeah. But it's just, I think you've got to have that vision and, you know, every day it's like quitting's never an option for me. Like, I know that I'm on the right path. I know with Craig, we're so passionate about what we do and wanting to help women and share this and, you know, bring these amazing products to the market with Emma, this skincare. And she's incredible too. We just love her and we love her husband, Pete. Like, they're just like us. And it's never an option to quit, you know, no matter how hard it gets or what failures we have, because it's the only way you learn.
Oh, you learn from your failures and you do your success. Because if you're being successful, how often do people sit and reflect on their success, even though you probably should? No, it's just kind of, if something goes well, you just kind of go, okay. And then you get on with it. But when it comes to the failures, like that's the time to kind of lean in and say, right, well, there's a lot to be taken from this, either to not repeat it or to refine it and do something different or better.
Totally. 100%. Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, with all of that said, so we're talking about business endeavors and everything else. You've also got a lot on your plate. What is next for you?
So this, we need to launch our bloody app. So we decided 2 years ago, we're going to do this app, which we thought, oh, this will just take 6 months. 2 years later, and so much stress and like, oh my God, Craig, like the amount of meltdowns and stuff he's had about this bloody app. Me and Vic we laugh. Well, I shouldn't say we laugh. We don't laugh about it, but just, it's been his baby and his stress for the last 2 years, but we're nearly there. Like, I think we're doing testing now. Like we've done the last, what do you call it? Extensions, hopefully. God, we've poured so much money into it too. So we're going to release that. We're going to release our men's program as soon as, well, we'll release the app first and get that all tested and built into the women's program. Then we'll do the men's program. We want to launch our skincare. That's another thing that's taken us like over 12 months, 18 months to formulate, because we're just doing something so unique. So we'll launch that with Saturée, hopefully in the first quarter of next year. We've got some new products coming out with Saturée. And then we've got our clothing. We've partnered with this company, Saturée, that I'm doing with Vic. So we've got our fingers in lots of different pies. And yeah, like we said, we're just really streamlining our business and then, you know, getting sort of things like we're learning heaps about marketing. We've learned heaps in the last year. Yeah, and just do those and just really focus on those core things, I think, and just always trying to refine our program and make changes and, you know, just deliver a better service to our clients and get better results for them. Because that's ultimately what we want, is to get results for women, you know, free them, help them get the body and the life that they love. Like that's our main focus. So yeah. And then get the boobs out Monday and yeah, grow the grays out, and then it'll be a la natural.
Embrace the natural aging process.
Yeah, the lines. Look at these bloody lines. I'm like, oh, every time it's so bad. Like I look when I do videos and I smile and I look at them and I think, oh, I'm like, Kitty, stop it. Stop looking at the lines. They're fine. Like you're 40. You're going to have some fucking lines. They're the character lines, you know, like embrace them. Stop looking at them and yeah. But I think that's normal. I'm sure in the Dubai, there'd be heaps of Botox. In the Gold Coast, there's heaps.
Oh, plastic surgery is, I think a lot of ladies here have their plastic surgery on speed dial, I think.
Ah, really?
It's and even in the fitness industry, it's so prevalent, all the injections and the Botox and the implants and tons of stuff. And listen, I mean, I think
Crazy.
I don't like to sound anti that either, because I'm not necessarily against that. It's just that, again, anything that you do, is it just being done for the right reasons? I think that's always got to be the premise. Yeah. Is it, are you doing it for the right reasons? If it helps you feel that a little bit more comfortable in yourself, and it's not something that you either become like addicted to or dependent on, then I think that's okay. But I just see a lot of it done for the wrong reasons, just to get a few extra Instagram or to get a few more followers or whatever else. It's not really the right.
Yeah, and look, I'm not sitting here going around to these women being this like, oh, I'm so anti-boobs and so anti-Botox. I'm like, I'm just doing it for me and what I believe right now is the right thing to do. And I still look at chicks with huge, like Craig and I'll be walking down the street. I'm like, whoa, look at that chick, because I love big boobs, you know, I just love them, and I'll still admire a big set of tits. But it's just something that I need to do for myself. Yeah. You know, to feel good about myself and what I'm doing and the message that I'm sending, and just to be healthy, you know.
You're obviously not anti because you did it yourself. It's just that like you went through a certain period and it's just not for you anymore, and that's cool as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You got to do what's right for you.
That's it. So we're going to get into the fun part of the podcast, the quick fire one. So I told you that these were just going to be random fun questions, which you have no idea what I'm going to throw at you. So let's see. So what's an interesting fact people may not know about you?
Oh, people know everything about me. I'm like, it's probably.
I was asking that question, so.
Yeah, I'm like, oh fuck, I don't know, because like just because I share everything. Like I share so much about my life and what I've done, and
it has to be something. Has to be something.
Oh God, no, there's nothing really interesting. I've shared everything interesting. I'm like,
do you know what's funny? The last podcast guest I had on, first of all, he gave a very similar final answer about what he's doing next. It was all about just refinement and improving the stuff. And then he was like,
really?
This question stumped him. He was like, and then his answer was like, oh, I like to bake. He's a baker. He likes to bake. So that was an interesting one. But
okay, maybe like people, because I'm I have quite a masculine energy. Like people say that to me, but maybe I think deep down I'm just a true hopeless romantic. You know, like I just love Craig so much, and I say soppy things to him, and you know, maybe that's. But I've probably talked about that before too. I don't know. It's not a very good answer, is it?
We'll take it. We'll take it and move on. Sweet. Savory or sweet?
Oh God, I like both, because I really like chips, like these coconut or potato chips, but then I really like fudge. I can't. It's got to be both. Like I love salty orange juice and I don't know.
We'll take that's the secret answer. Both. No one ever says that, but I never said you couldn't.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah. Okay. Great.
What's your proudest coaching moment?
I think like one of our clients, our long-term client, Sean, rang me like about a month ago, and she's like, she's been in the program 2 years, and she said, Kitty, needed to ring you and tell you, like, I know I tell you all the time. She's like, I actually finally feel free. I'm free from all the body obsession and, you know, my relationship issues. And it's like, I'm it. I've reached it. I've done it. You know, I'm finally free. Just hearing stuff like that. You know, she's done a lot of really like deep mindset work too, of like really digging deep into it. She's a binge drinker, binge eater. You know, and I think, just hearing stuff like that probably. Yeah,
and you probably couldn't even just pick out one. There's probably just a multitude.
Oh, there's lots. Yeah,
definitely. Who would you say are the people that have shaped your career the most?
In terms of like when we've done the fitness type stuff, the training.
It could be anyway, like, I mean, because your career could be shaped by non-fitness people as well, right? So just anyone who's shaped your career to any major extent.
Oh, our friend Emma, who's our business partner now, was amazing. Like, she's still amazing. We work with her. She taught me so much, freed me from all the diets. Dodie Anderson, Rob and Dodie, they're the co-authors of Popping the Food Bubble, our nutrition program. And I worked with Dodie for about 12 months and she was just incredible. Who else? Probably for Craig, Damon Hayhow. He's a strength coach. He's really shaped him and Maddie from Biologic Labs. They're probably, I'd say, the biggest influences, on us, especially early on, because that's when we really first started in terms of training nutrition.
Okay, cool. What's been the biggest mistake that you've made in your career and what did you learn from it?
I reckon it was a mistake, but it was also the best thing that we ever did as well. Like, we bought into this gym. We paid 60 grand for a gym that had no equipment, no systems, was losing money. We paid 60 grand. And then we paid another 40 grand to buy our business partner out of this crap gym. And looking back now, we're like, you idiots, you paid 100 grand for a failing gym. Like, what stupid person does that? What we know now, we would never do anything like that ever. But if we didn't do that, if we didn't buy that gym, like, we wouldn't be where we are today. So I guess it was probably the biggest mistake, but also the biggest opportunity for us, I think.
And all the learnings, I suppose, that went alongside that as well.
Yeah, because we just fumbled our way through. Like, we didn't know. We didn't know how to run a gym. We didn't know how to run a business, but we got business coaching and then that obviously helped us. But I reckon, yeah, probably that.
Very cool. So we know that you like lifting. What's your favorite exercise currently, if you had to choose one?
Oh, it's always a deadlift.
I thought you would say deadlift. It's all about getting those yoke traps.
I just love it. It's just the best exercise. You can't cheat the deadlift, like, you either can get it up or you can't, like squatting, you get better from being better. I mean, you get better from being a better technical deadlifter, like being better at the skill, but it's hard to cheat it, I think.
No, you're right. I mean, I think because with the squat, you've always got that stretch reflex you can use. You can bounce off all those passive structures and everything else.
Yeah.
Fail as well. But with the deadlift, like you say, either it comes off the damn floor and you lock out or you freaking don't. Simple as that.
Exactly. And some muscles got to lift it. Like, people might argue about, you're rounding your back too much. But at the end of the day, you guys got to get it up. There's some muscle somewhere lifting it, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, it's always this effort regardless. I mean, whether it's safe or not, that's a whole different conversation. So conversely, we're going to go the other way. What's your most despised exercise? Like, if there was an exercise that you just wish would just disappear, what is it?
I really dislike training arms, like biceps and triceps. Yeah, I just find it so boring. I just really love, like, the big compound, the bigger lifts, like leg press, squat, bench, deadlift, seated military press, barbell rows, chin ups. I love the big. I don't like to do the fluff. So I think, like, Craig always pays me and he's like, you never do your arms or calves. I'm like, why? Craig's like, when you got small calves like me, you got to train calves. I'm like, it's not doing anything. They're not getting any bigger.
Oh,
you'll hate me for saying that.
Shots fired. If you could only travel to one bucket list location post-COVID, where would it be?
Maybe the Maldives.
So funny you say that, because we're literally talking now about potentially doing a little holiday, because we were going to go home for Christmas this year and we decided nothing to just yet. But we're thinking
go to the Maldives. I've been there twice when we lived in Dubai. It's like 4 hours flight. Yeah, it's the fucking best. It's the best, most amazing place. I love the beach. So yeah, go. You should go. And it's only 4 hours flight for you guys.
I can't believe that. It's like literally 4 hours. It's so close.
Crazy. I know.
There you go. Everyone's saying you need to go. We need to go. So I think that's a sign. We need to go.
Go.
All right. Second to last question. Who should we have next on the podcast?
Who's your audience? Are they like women and men that like want to get?
I'll be honest, I don't know. I don't think we've got a handle on what our audience is yet, or who our audience is. I think we're still trying to figure that out. But I would say it's kind of there's going to be some coaches there, just naturally, because I talk to that audience a lot, and then there's going to be a mixture of kind of the avid gym goer.
Oh, get Craig on. You guys would love to talk about strength training. You guys would probably talk about the exact same thing, like body recomposition and strength training. I don't know. I just love training. Damon Hayhow's always awesome. I don't know if you even know who he is.
It rings a bell, but it's not. What's his name? Is that his name on Instagram?
Yeah, Damon Hayhow. Yeah, look him up. He's strong.
He's came up before. He's an Aussie guy.
Yeah, he's Aussie. Yeah.
I think I know who he is, but I don't follow him though, so I want to came across.
Yeah, he's awesome. Yeah.
Well, yeah, happy to get Craig on in Top Shop. So
Top Shop. You can talk about training. He loves training. Save me from stupid hours of cardio. But when I met him, I'd never deadlifted, like really at all. Like I could probably deadlift like 50 kilos. I could squat 60 kilos. I never benched. Just did all the stupid circuit workouts.
You just do we like to call it cardio weights rather than actually lifting with intensity.
Yeah,
definitely. We'll get your fella on your other half. Why not? And then last question, an important question: where's the best place for people to connect with you directly?
You can follow me on Instagram. It's at Kitty Kitty Blomfield, and our website is just NuStrength.com.au. So NuStrength.com.au.
Nice. Well, once again, Kitty, thanks so much for giving up so much of your time. And
had so much fun. Thank you.
Yeah, and I'm sure we'll do this again at some stage. I'm sure there's plenty of other conversations and rabbit holes we could dive down at some other stage.
Totally. Thanks so much.
Thanks again. All right, and that's a wrap for another episode. So I hope you guys enjoyed listening to today's episode as much as I enjoyed recording it. Remember, just a reminder, guys, the best way that you can support us here at Better Body Radio is to go on Apple, leave us a 5-star review, or if you're listening on one of your other preferred podcast platforms, such as Spotify and Stitcher, you can simply take a screenshot of the podcast, tag us, share it in your Instagram stories, and tag at Better Body Collective. Remember, guys, the best way that we can reach more people with this information and hopefully provide as much value to as many people as possible is with the support of you that are already listening and giving the show so much support and love, which we very much appreciate. Once again, guys, thank you so much, and I'll see you on the next episode.